everybody. Welcome to This Day. It is Friday, and it is May 13th, Friday the 13th. We don't have any meetings to tell you about today, so I'll just tell you who's on our show. Well, we sit down with Dennis Bilodeau, and he is here as he is a candidate for the California Board of Equalization. Then we have Cole Young, of course, with our Sports Corner, and if there is time, we will talk to Chief Brian Fennessy, who's with the Orange County Fire Authority. And of course, we thought it was really good to talk to him because fire season is all year long, just as we saw with the Laguna Niguel fire not too long ago. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our weather. We are looking at very nice temperatures, in fact, warm. So we want to be careful out there not to get too much heat. Today, we are looking at 85-62. Tomorrow, 87-63. Partially sunny on Sunday, 78-59, then 74-58, and 73-62 with some AM fog. Then, if you take a look at our traveling temperatures, everything looks pretty good with the exception of Palm Springs is very warm, 102, and Las Vegas is 98. Our sunrise this morning was at 5:52, and our sunset will be at 7:43. And thank you, Joel, for sending in this beautiful photo of the coast. I believe that's the Central Coast. Thank you for sending that in. And if you have a photo you would like to share with our community, please email it to lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. All right, when we come back, we will have Dennis Bilodeau, so stick around.
Diane's Hallmark in Laguna Niguel is now an Elam's Hallmark, and we are excited to be part of your community. We have just remodeled, and you will be surprised by the wide variety of fashion and accessories, home decor, collectibles, Disney, Peanuts, Harry Potter, and Star Wars, along with the largest Hallmark card selection in town. Stop in today and sign up for our Crown Rewards program and get a free Just Because card. Once a member, you can get a free card once a month. Elam's Hallmark, your neighborhood gift store.
We're coming for you, Cancer. At City of Hope, we won't stop working until we've saved every life. That's why we're opening an NCI-designated academic cancer campus right here in Orange County. Your days are numbered, Cancer. We're coming for you, Cancer. At City of Hope, more than 400 world-renowned physicians and 1,000 scientists and researchers are coming together to focus only on one thing: curing cancer. Your days are numbered, Cancer.
At Freedom Village, we want you to create a life worth believing in.
Staffing is fantastic. Whenever you need help, they're there to help you.
I met so many people. I have so many friends now compared to when I was, living by myself. I didn't have hardly any friends.
I have to say it was one of the best decisions of my life. It's like living in a resort. It's just the nicest way to live.
Village Television presents Friday Films, only on Village Television. Fridays at 2 and 6 p.m. Foreign films, dramas, and comedies. Award-winning films, romance and mystery. Independent films. Every Friday, only on Village Television.
Welcome back. Well, as I mentioned, we have Dennis Bilodeau here, who is a candidate for the Board of Equalization. Well, welcome. Nice to see you.
Oh, good morning, Lisa. Welcome.
So you, the State Board of Equalization, I think I'm kind of aware of what it does, but tell me a little bit, just give me a little bit of details.
That's the first thing everyone asks me. What does the Board of Equalization do? Well, the board was created in 1879 because back then, there was only 27 counties instead of the 58 today. Oh. But the tax assessors in the 27 counties, they all did things a little differently. They assessed properties differently.
Okay.
And back then, the railroads were the big political force in California. Mm-hmm. So the board was created to equalize how tax assessments were done throughout the state, hence the term equalization. So, and that's how, today we have a 1% property tax levy. Back in 1879, it was whatever that county decided to do. It was it was unequal. So the legislature wanted to equalize how tax assessments were done.
Oh, okay. So every once in a while, we'll get a piece of paper if you own a home, and it'll give you a tax assessment.
Yes.
Like they reevaluate what your property is worth, correct?
Yes, yeah. Every year they reassess your property. We're fortunate we have Proposition 13, which limits the increase to 2% a year on the base value.
Oh,
but back in 1879, it was the Wild West. And it was whatever that tax assessor in that county wanted to do.
Right.
So this board, it's the only one of its kind in the nation, actually, that's
Wow.
directly elected by the people. And it's really to advocate for taxpayers and make sure everybody is treated fairly and equally.
Right. Okay. So what is your current position? What do you do now?
My current position, I'm actually a civil engineer, and I'm actually the county traffic engineer for the County of Orange. That's my day job.
Okay.
But I've had a long career in elected office in politics.
Okay.
I served on the city council in the city of Orange from 2006 to 2012.
Okay.
And also currently, I serve on the board of the Orange County Water District. I put my engineering skills to work, and I serve on the board of directors. And you'll see there on the screen, we built the largest water recycling plant in the world in Fountain Valley, and we make 100 million gallons a day of fresh drinking water from wastewater. We put it
Wow.
into a couple of lakes. You see one on the screen. That's called La Palma Basin up in Anaheim. And that water soaks in the ground. It replenishes our aquifer. And that's about a third of our water supply now.
Wow.
So when I joined the board in the year 2000, I sort of led the effort to construct this facility. We've now spent $1 billion of taxpayer money. Much of it is through grants and low interest loans to build this facility. And boy, do we sure need it.
Well, and we're going to need it more and more, and that is for another discussion, of course, because as we've talked beforehand, we've got a water shortage coming up, and so it's kind of interesting. So what exactly do you want to accomplish being on the Board of Equalization?
Well, my big concern is that our Proposition 13 tax rights are constantly under attack. You might have noticed that 2 years ago, a new proposition passed, Proposition 19, that affected how property tax, when properties are transferred, how the basis is transferred from, parent to child or grandchild.
Yep.
There were some benefits to Prop 19, but there was also some rights that were taken away. The big right that was taken away was Proposition 58 was wiped out. And what Proposition 58 provided was that you could transfer your residence to a child, and they could keep that low property tax basis without being assessed. The only way that can occur now is if they physically move in to the home.
Oh, they have to be a primary residence.
They have to physically move in the home. Now, I think about it for my children, and I think, well, they're going to have their own families. They're not going to want to move into my home. So so when my estate passes to them, they're going to have to sell my house because they're not going to move in my house, and the basis is going to jump tenfold by that time.
Exactly.
So that's a problem. So I'm working with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association
Okay.
to qualify a ballot measure that's going to restore Prop 58, and it's going to allow us to transfer the basis of our property to our children.
Okay.
The other thing I should mention is I'm endorsed by Senator Patricia Bates, as well as the Orange Taxpayers Association.
Well, that's probably a good thing, especially the tax association, since you're going to be dealing with a lot of that for sure when it
Yes.
comes to taxes. Well, that's good to know that you've got somebody on the inside who is going to fight for taxpayers' rights, because California wants to tax all the time,
Oh,
and it
yes.
just seems like they're looking for lots of different ways to do that.
Yeah.
So
So-
hopefully you can help.
I want my children to grow up here in California. I've seen so many families move away to Texas and Nevada
Oh,
because
yeah.
of the taxation here, and I just want to try to bring some rational thought to this
Right.
board and help. And also, the last thing I would say is the gas tax in California. We have the highest gasoline prices in the nation,
Right.
and that's a direct reflection of the gasoline taxes. We pay $1.18 per gallon on gasoline tax, and it's going to go up. It's going up July the 1st. The legislature failed to take action to delay the increase. So gasoline prices are going to go up again on July 1st.
Right, right. You know, being on the Board of Equalization, I know we've talked about some of your accomplishments, but do you think it is difficult to be heard in, in our capital?
Well, the good news is that there's only 4 elected members of the Board of Equalization.
Okay.
And then the 5th member is the state controller,
Okay.
like the ex officio member. So you actually wield a lot of power because you're a large voice. You represent 25% of the state of California. For instance, the seat I'm running in, it runs from Orange County all the way to the border of Mexico, are the voters that I need to try to get to vote for me. So it's 10 million people.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a challenge to reach out and
Yeah.
speak to those people and contact
Sure.
them and potentially get their support.
Gotcha.
But I'm doing the best I can, and that's why I'm here today.
Well, I appreciate all the information. You know, I think it's one of those seats that we really don't think much about. So
Yeah, it's
I
very
appreciate
obscure.
you explaining it to us. So thank you.
Well,
And
thank
of
you.
course, if somebody wanted to know more about you, they can always go to your website,
Yes.
which is DennisBilodeau.com.
DennisBilodeau.com. Thank you very much for having me today.
Well, you're welcome and good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course, as I mentioned, you can always go to DennisBilodeau.com if you want to learn more about his candidacy. Or maybe we should all just look up Board of Equalization so we know exactly what they do for us. We'll be right back.
There's not many things better than a warm Friday in the springtime, especially one filled with high-level playoff sports. I'm Cole Young, and welcome back to another edition of Sports Corner. I know it seems like the NBA playoffs have been going on for months, but they're still raging on. The reason it feels like this is because the series matchups have been all incredibly close, and teams are trading off wins. Let's take another look at the bracket. Over in the West, the Phoenix Suns are all tied with the Dallas Mavericks 3-3. And the Golden State Warriors fell short on Wednesday, but are still leading the Memphis Grizzlies 3-2. And Game 6 will be tonight. Over in the East, the Heat are in the conference championship round after beating the 76ers 4-2. The Milwaukee Bucks are looking to return to the finals and are sitting on a 3-2 lead over the Celtics. Game 6 will also be tonight. This weekend will be jam-packed with games, and by the end of the weekend, we'll have the conference championship series set. So be sure to enjoy the ride as the playoffs slowly but surely come to a close. I'm truthfully torn trying to decide which playoffs are more exciting, NBA or NHL. But personally, I think hockey might have a leg up, especially because we finally got a series sweep. The Colorado Avalanche entered the playoffs widely regarded as the best team in the NHL, and they confirmed that statement in the first round when they swept the Nashville Predators 4-0. Only one game went to overtime where the Avs won 2-1, but all the rest of the games were won 7-2, 7-3, and 5-3. Other than Colorado, all the series are very close races.
The St. Louis Blues squeaked past the Minnesota Wild to punch their ticket in the next round against Colorado. In an exciting overtime game, the Lightning tied the series against the Leafs and forced a Game 7. This is also the case for the Kings, as the series is tied 3-3 with the Oilers as well.
As I've said for a few weeks, there's a ton of hockey on every day this weekend, so be sure to tune in, especially if you want to root on the LA Kings. Even with all these playoffs going on, there's only one person that could have a bigger breaking news headline, and that person would be Tom Brady. The greatest quarterback of all time made headlines early on Tuesday when Brady signed a contract with Fox Sports to be an analyst when he eventually retires from playing. The deal is rumored to be around 10 years and about $375 million. This offseason has been a circus in the sports broadcasting world, and several big-name broadcasters have found new homes at new networks. The biggest story was Joe Buck and Troy Aikman leaving their longtime home at Fox to join ESPN. ESPN also will continue the Manning cast, where Peyton and Eli Manning provide commentary and insight on games. Then, Amazon, who will be broadcasting games this year, signed legendary commentator Al Michaels and brought on Kirk Herbstreit, who is most known for his college football analysis. CBS then offered former Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo a massive 10-year contract to remain in their booth as well. When Brady finally does retire, he will be joining Kevin Burkhardt in the booth. Since he's a 45-year-old quarterback, it does feel a little weird saying when he does retire. But knowing Brady and his track record, it could be 5 years before we ever even see him in the booth. In more local news, the Angels are absolutely electric. This week alone, we saw Shohei Ohtani hit his first career Grand Slam, Ohtani and Trout hit back-to-back home runs, Mike Trout break the record for most home runs hit at Angel Stadium with 161, Anthony Rendon hitting a home run left-handed, a walk-off victory on Mother's Day, and the Angels scoring over 10 runs multiple times. On top of all that, the highlight of this season so far was rookie pitcher Reed Detmers throwing a no-hitter on Tuesday night against the Tampa Bay Rays. In the 12-0 victory for the Angels, Detmers became the youngest pitcher to throw a no-hitter in MLB history at just 22 years old, and also the first lefty to throw a no-hitter since 1970. There was one close call that was eventually called an error, but other than that, Detmers was never really close to giving up a hit. This was only his 11th career start, and in the previous 10 games, Detmers had never pitched more than 6 innings. It's an absolutely incredible feat for the young pitcher, and it's even more exciting to see one of our local Southern California teams be on their way to a historic season. Last week, I mentioned that the Kentucky Derby was going on, and it was a special one indeed. Rich Strike, the horse that was a last-second entry with 80-1 odds to win, made history by winning the Derby last weekend. The horse not only won, but came from dead last place, passing every horse en route to a victory. It's one of those underdog, come-from-behind victories that sports fans love to see. As I'm sure you can tell by now, the weather's hot and beautiful out, so be sure to enjoy it and stay cool this weekend. As always, I appreciate you tuning in to this week's edition of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young. Have a great weekend.
Welcome back. Well, we have Chief Brian Fennessy, who is here on behalf of the Orange County Fire Authority. Well, how are you?
I'm great, Lisa. It's great to be back.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I know you have a very busy schedule, but maybe we've caught you sort of in between fires, which, you know, I know is really prevalent and not just a fire season now.
No, you're exactly right. You know, we've been talking about it for a number of years, and now we're really considering it a fire year. So certainly we have, you know, our traditional or historical fire season, but as we've seen locally, even this year, we get fires in February, in March, and you know, we're in a very different environment than we've ever been.
Well, it's very dry, and unfortunately we're not getting the rains like we used to, and so there is definitely a shift in our in our patterns. So I can imagine that that is contributing to a lot of the fires, even if we didn't have a hot day.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, after years of drought, much of the vegetation here in Southern California, you know, has died. And you know, we live in a desert, and the vegetation, the native vegetation, is used to going 2 or 3 years of low periods of precipitation, but after multiple years, the vegetation dries, and that dead brush sits on the sides of those hills, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
We get a little rain, everything looks green, but within that green, you've got to remember there's a heavy dead fuel or vegetation component.
Right, right. Now, I understand that the fire authority, along with the government, there are programs that are in place where you clean out that dead brush, right?
There are. We receive grants, and a number of the cities get grants, and we call it vegetation management, where there's you know, vegetation removal. We certainly take care of a lot of that along the roadsides. That's, roadside fires are really the biggest threat here in Orange County.
Right.
There's a lot of money going towards fuel mitigation, both on the federal side and on the state side. So we encourage cities and agencies, HOAs, others, to really look at what might be out there that could pay for, you know, that removal.
Well, right. Okay, good. Now, in regards to that, of course, we have a variety of HOAs. We have a few here, and I know that different parts, some do back to an area where there could be concern, but I would imagine we've addressed that.
We do, and our, our fire prevention, bureau is really diligent in letting, HOAs, homeowners know when there's a threat.
Okay.
And we don't automatically go out and find people, but we do remind them. And over a period of time, if it's not taken care of, we will take a stronger stand. And we're really doing that for, again, the homeowners.
Okay.
As we've seen on the Emerald Fire in Emerald Bay in February, and then the year before, the fires that encroached upon Irvine and Lake Forest.
Yeah.
We didn't lose any structures. And while our firefighters did an amazing job, really credit goes out to those homeowners, the developers who built those units, under code.
Yeah.
And in the past, it wouldn't have been unlikely to have lost perhaps hundreds of homes, but the community deserves a shout out. They've listened to the message, and we're showing here in Orange County that it does work.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because you certainly don't want to lose your home. I had visited someone that was up in the Anaheim Hills fire, and she had a very large picture of the firemen walking away from her home burning to the ground. And it's scary, really scary. So I'm glad you are, that you've told the community that they're doing a good job. So excellent. All right, let's talk a little bit about air operations, because obviously, there are places you can't get to and you need that air support.
We do. We really recognize aircraft as a force multiplier. And the whole key, keeping fire small is a rapid, what we call initial attack. Very quickly, quick detection, quick response, pour everything you can on it to keep it small, because once it gets beyond what we initially send to suppress that fire, it becomes far more challenging. And so, aircraft are a big part of that. On any report of a vegetation fire here in the county, we're automatically getting 2 air tankers, the fixed-wing airplanes that drop the pink retardant out of Hemet, out of Riverside.
Okay.
And we respond 3 helicopters from OCFA, along with all the ground units. So the idea is just to get on top of it, knock it down, and let the ground units take care of putting it completely out.
Excellent. That's good that you have that as well. Okay, so within your group, your staff, when you hire people, there's a variety of programs that you now have in place to kind of accompany. People have been a little concerned about some diversity issues and things like that, but you have some programs in place.
We do, and diversity has been something that's been very important to me. I grew up with it. I grew up in the Pasadena area, and in the 70s, the Pasadena City Schools were a part of the early integration projects, and so I grew up in a very diverse community, both at school and in my neighborhoods, and quite frankly, we could do better here in Orange County, the Orange County Fire Authority, and I made it clear from day one when I got here that was going to be part of my vision and where we were going. And since that time, we have improved in the number of the underrepresented women firefighters, and we've hired a full-time diversity and inclusion coordinator. We're doing surveys. In fact, we've got a girls' camp. Young girls from 14 to, I believe it's 14 to 18 can participate. You go to our website, you can sign up, and we spend 2 days, teaching young women and showing them what we do. The whole idea is to introduce them to it, and so that they understand this is something they can do.
Right.
And so we're driven to improve our numbers and to be more inclusive, and I'm excited about it.
I think that's a great idea, especially at that age level, because you're getting them at the high school level, and that's when they're starting to decide, okay, do I want to go to college? Do I want to do something else? And when I do go to college, what am I going to do?
Right.
And so it kind of lays that groundwork for them.
I agree. We have in the past focused on athletic programs at the college level, but have found that most the young women that are already there already have aspirations for what they want to do.
Yeah.
And when you talk with young women, they don't automatically think that the fire service is something they can do. Little boys grow up playing with fire trucks, and they envision maybe doing. Young women don't. So we need to introduce that to them at a very young age, that this is something that you can do if you'd like to. We have many women on this job looking for more, and we're going to get there.
Great, great. Well, if they want to know more about that, of course, they can always go to your website and they can learn some of the parameters and requirements and things like that, because I'm sure there are still quite a few for everybody. You
There
still
are.
have to have certain things. So, all right, good. And then let's touch base a little bit on your emergency command center. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of people that takes. And we've talked to a couple of dispatchers here. But every week you kind of do something different. Tell me about that.
We do. We celebrate a variety of divisions and shifts and whatnot. And most recently we've had what we used to call Dispatcher Week. Now it's called Telecommunicator Week, where we celebrate and show our appreciation for our emergency command center staff. That's really the nerve center. When you call 911 and you get pushed over to us, they receive hundreds of thousands of calls. We respond to 160-some thousand.
Yeah.
And their job is tough. They may be picking up the phone and instructing, you know, an hysterical family member, instructing them how to do CPR. They may be, you know, asking people to leave the resident, and then they're on to the next call.
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult and very challenging job.
Right.
Takes a special person. Our attrition rate is about 50% through training because it is that difficult.
Yeah.
So they deserve the shout out. I have so much pride and appreciation for our dispatch staff.
That is excellent, excellent. Now, real quick, I wanted to congratulate you because you received an award, the Man of the Year at the Cypress College Foundation's 47th Annual Americana Award.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to kiddingly ask, did they just run out of people to? But you know, when you look at the past decades of who's received that award, it's pretty humbling. And what I did at the ceremonies, I really wanted to show our appreciation for all the firefighters in this county.
Yeah.
The Orange County Healthcare Agency for the vaccination efforts. I mean, it was a very difficult time, and the fire service was asked by the county to carry on the vaccination effort. And I'll never forget the call I got where I was asked to help with vaccinating 3 million county residents.
Yep.
That's a pretty unusual request and not
Absolutely.
something that any fire department or any fire chief has been asked to do before.
Right.
And it was very successful, and we're very proud of it.
Orange County did a great job as a whole. You know, we got those centers up real quick at SoCA, and we even had our own thing here for all of our residents. So congratulations. I think that's awesome.
I think Orange County shone very, very brightly over that period of time.
Great. Well, thank you for your leadership.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right. If you want more information about the programs that we have discussed, you can always go to ocfa.org. We'll be right back.